Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a technology entrepreneur, Mr. Vineet Kapoor. Vineet, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ashutosh.
Vineet is the managing director of a product titled Hotlink. He believes in be present and do your best. So Vineet, Hotlink is a unified platform to link and sync everyone to improve the ease of doing business, which you're proposing to launch in about 2 quarters from now. Tell me about this venture and what was your hypothesis when you were building it?
So Ashutosh, at a very top level, if you see, there is a need and a drift towards digitization at large.
Mm-hmm.
So people are drifting away from isolated companies to networks and ecosystems, because fundamentally we all work as a network.
Correct.
The convenience and speed factor is kind of now known to be the way of life when it comes to the standard e-commerce models. But when you see this same aspect in B2B, those things take a different shape. Ease of doing business is something that people want to work with each other closely, and trust becomes the central theme besides convenience and speed.
I understand.
What we bring to the table, or what we are proposing on this platform, is a very telecom-like subscriber model of how a buyer, seller, or a set of distributors in the network would actually work with each other with a kind of that assurance of trust around them. That one, trust amongst themselves. Second, trust on the platform as an environment where we don't snoop around any data, we don't misuse their data. So that's the real ease of doing business. I kind of just put it into these three pillars of convenience, speed, and trust. When it comes to B2B, the trust factor is really large, and practically everyone reads a lot about antitrust even in the marketplace models today. So that's a different play. That's a very consumer play. We are really targeting the entire idea of digital transformation in the core B2B sectors using Hotlink.
So, Vineet, for our viewers and listeners, can you help us understand how you do the linking and the syncing using an example? Maybe just take a hypothetical product and take us through it.
Perfectly fine. So I am a company. Doesn't matter what the product is. I'll just use the word product. I have a product. I either import it into the country or I manufacture. Either ways, I have the finished product in my warehouse today.
Okay.
I go to market in various ways depending on my customer segmentation. In large segment of these products where there is a dependence on local value add, be it as simple a value add as stocking at the local point, or a trade credit being offered between the buyer and the seller, this company or the brand would work with multiple distribution partners.
Okay.
These distribution partners, largely everything happens on emails and phone calls today. The idea of speed requires you to be seamless.
Right.
They are not seamless because phone calls and emails are conversational. So in this scenario, let's say that I have got 500 distributors across the country, and these 500 could not be direct 500 distributors to me. This could be a multi-tiered chain. It's a multi-level distribution network.
Okay.
So the first thing that Hotlink would do is that the way you take a telecom connection, so you have a phone number, I have a phone number. We can call each other.
Okay.
So the moment you get an account on Hotlink, it works exactly like that. Or you can think of it like a LinkedIn network that you create your profile. In this case, instead of a profile, you create your business account. And businesses connect with each other.
Okay.
They form chains. They could form multi-level chains, and wide level of scenarios are available, including configurable level of how you do order management with each other. Your contracts are not like the marketplace contracts where it's a published price. This is the price right now. Just go and buy. The model is about automation. The model is about creating a seamless environment for these networks to work.
Okay.
And now you can stack as many as you want ahead or behind any account. That's what we are intending to do.
Very interesting. So if I'm understanding this correctly, it's a platform where buyer and seller can meet. And
you will have some functionality of meeting, yes, but that's not the real you can say the larger purpose is ease of doing business rather than discovery alone. Discovery is one aspect. Idea is also, so like the example that I took, I said that this company has 500 distributors. We are targeting those people who have already met each other, who have discovered how they function. But the real trade secret amongst them is what they are kind of working very closely on. They are very much intrinsic to the way their business works. What's my margin at level 1 of distribution? What's my margin at level 2? These are trade secrets. These are not openly told to people.
Sure.
When people think of platforms, they think of add to cart. We are not an add to cart platform. So fundamentally, the question that you're asking is that besides platforms, there are models of yellow pages, which are discovery models, which are lead generation models.
Understand.
We also have that functionality, but because I use the word trust, so it's a breach of trust if I start to see who's getting what lead.
Okay.
We are that fundamentally honest about it to say that, look, confidentiality is one of the pillars of trust. Rather, I divide trust into only 2 parts in business. One is confidentiality, second is consistency. And these things are not, and when we say these things, generally our mind exaggerates to say that, oh, if there is a breach, then what happens? I look at it the other way around. What if we were to prevent it? And on a minute-by-minute basis, the way you and I are talking right now, I don't have a doubt on you. That's the environment to work in.
Very interesting. And this will be obviously through complete transparency. That's what you're also saying.
Transparency in the secure channel. When we, again, so transparency as a word on platforms generally is misconstrued as everyone sees everything.
Correct.
For us, transparency is privacy. It comes with privacy.
Okay.
So it's like a WhatsApp chat between you and me. The fact that it is encrypted really matters to us. So that's the principle that we are applying out here, that when a transaction happens between a buyer and a seller, the seller could be a distributor or the distributor and the end customer. The idea of confidentiality has to start from the discovery stage to the pricing stage, pricing to be very much customizable, custom pricing, down to actual order to pay cycle, where the data only remains between the two of them.
Very interesting. And what are your advantages as compared to similar platforms? Because I think similar platforms do exist.
So there are actually, we fundamentally as a world, when we say interconnected, we are largely moving into platform economies.
Correct.
So there will be overlaps with current platforms. The objectives can be different. So some platforms would be really deep. They would deep dive into areas of regulatory or statutory documentation. So I could be an e-invoicing platform. So then my focus is significantly on how my invoices comply with the certain norms. Some other platforms could be creating supply chain towers. So my entire focus is on supply chain efficiency. So we as a platform where we belong, so many of these platforms, what they do is that the more complex areas that you try and tackle, they become very network centric. When I say network centric, brand centric, or an anchor centric. So brand is a wrong word for one reason, that brand makes me think only from the sell side.
Correct.
I could be a buying platform. So I could be a large institutional buyer, a manufacturing hub who buys from 3,000 vendors at different frequency on a regular basis. So as against that, the way that we always describe ourselves is that our model is like a very telecom-like subscriber model, which creates an open access fundamental.
Okay.
So it's you who chooses what you want to do, both on your buy side and your sell side. And if you're also a reseller, including that, you are able to set it up the way you like it. It's like a Lego block model. Because network designs, so there is also, like in the historic elements of distinction today, if I look at it, configurability has become far higher rated on platforms compared to customizations. Customizations are again jobs that you do through a large project, and then they stay there till the time you do the next one.
Okay.
Whereas configurability is something that dynamically allows you to switch the moment your business needs it. And the uncertainty, the whole idea of a VUCA world, uncertainty is really centric to how the businesses are evolving. The second factor that I'd like to highlight about the distinction is that majority of these projects, digital transformation projects, are driven by an anchor player who kind of foots the bill, who controls the whole thing, who has a huge concentration of power of how the project runs. Whereas we have a significant focus. So besides my trust and confidentiality piece that I highlighted, our second biggest focus of why we are in that kind of a repackaging and relaunch phase right now is that we are a completely neutral platform. And why? What we realized is that if you look at global distribution and you look at the second, third level of that distribution to reach the deeper side of the consumer markets, we are dealing with significant number of small and medium enterprises. So if you draw a pyramid for any brand, by the time, and if they are a deep dive distribution requirement kind of an environment, the bottom rung of their distribution will all be small and medium businesses. Inclusion is a huge impact that we are looking at. Because we've designed it and we have also flipped our revenue models in a way where we are saying that this guy who's actually running a small trade house or a trading business could be pretty much as small as I generally use the idea of saying that he is someone who actually does not even have a warehouse, but he's a trader. He captures orders, he gets them drop shipped. Our platform needs to have an inclusion for it. So it's very similar to the way you look at a phone.
I understand.
Connectivity is the proposition. So if you give connectivity, you enhance so much impact in the hands of these people. Secondly, if you look at it, it's not something that I'm taking the impact from a large brand and giving it to them. No, it's not like that. Actually, I am creating a win-win for the two, because large brands equally need an environment in which they can actually work with players like these without losing so basically they don't want their cost of doing business to be higher than the margins that they will gain in those markets.
Well said. So my next question to you, Vineet, is that, when you're building a platform, there are two sides of it. One is the technology, which I'm sure you've got and, probably have the best technology available. But then on the other side are the buyers and the sellers. What do you see as challenges from a technological perspective and from the perspective of getting buyers and sellers on your platform?
Okay, so as much as including my Harvard colleagues and network would tell me that fail fast is the model, it's been over a decade and I'm at it.
Wow.
I don't believe in the fail fast model. Let me correct myself. I believe in the fail fast model, but I like to apply it at a different level of the business.
Right.
It's at a design stage where you apply it the way you rightly said, that technology is available. You can mold it the way you like it. I believe that fail fast should be applied there.
Right.
What needs to be applied at the level at which you asked me the question that, okay, there's a catch-22. So what I hear from your question is typically what we identify as saying that there's a catch-22 on every platform.
Absolutely.
Because there are it's a multi-stakeholder game. So, and you have to shake hands, and so you need both the hands to come forward.
Correct.
I think the intent, it has to be a belief-driven game, number one. But while I say that, that's philosophical. The idea is that we have a multi-pronged go-to-market thought process, where what we need to do is that we need to create sustainable momentum. The answer that we found for this catch-22 is not in suddenly saying that, oh, look, let me just invest. So there are players like those. Due respect to them, there are different models.
Sure.
I am of the belief that one should not start burning cash to break the catch-22.
Correct.
Burning cash is going to, possibly it is going to add up to valuations in various ways. But the intent is that valuation largely is sitting in my fundamental somewhere closer to the brand being more visible. Whereas the true fundamental of the business will happen when you start to focus on the concept of sustained momentum. Even if that momentum initially is not at a pace at which you would like it to be.
Correct.
But this is very much written. There's also a book by Jim Collins around the flywheel effect.
Mm-hmm.
So Amazon is very popularly known to have a flywheel effect,
Mm-hmm.
where what you do is that you create a strategy where the elements of the strategy start to feed onto each other in a loop fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So typically, that's the reason the flywheel name was given to it, because it's the initial few turns that are very difficult to do.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, it kind of latches onto its own movement, and the movement itself energizes the next step. That's what we are heading towards. We are very clear about it that there are two aspects to our model. One is where the discovery piece, as you highlighted, we also, as I said, we also have that. So that's kind of a no risk entry point into the platform, where you are largely only using it as a marketing service. But as you start to use it as a transaction processing service, which is for trade alignment. So the first is trade promotion, the second is trade alignment.
Correct.
That's when I completely appreciate, I have been the head of country management or for international management in the business. So I do understand that there are long shadow decisions which start getting involved there.
Right.
But one has to then prepare for it to say that, look, let the businesses transition when it is right for them, not when it is right for us.
Very interesting. Well said. Well said. So my next question, Vineet, is that, when I was reading about you and Hotlink, you have taken on multiple verticals. You've got hospitality, food and beverage, health, agri, technology, building, and much more. How will you handle so much diversity in terms of building skill sets within Hotlink?
So two answers. First is that our platform actually is completely agnostic to what the product is.
Okay.
It, like any other technology, it's made on a very, at least in my language, I say that we have not hard-coded processes. We've created configurable frameworks for processes. So once you kind of are able to handle lots of workflows on it, in the eyes of the technology, that product is just an SKU number. It's a stock keeping unit, nothing more than that. So when it comes to technology, we are safe. So to say, we can handle it. Now comes the second part of it to say that, how do we really go to market? That's where the idea comes in to say that you need to have category management. And the category management needs to now be responded to. You can see it from the buyer's point of view or from a seller's point of view. And whether we like it or not, one has to consider that customer comes first, even for the sellers.
Correct.
And we identify 4 primary buying groups for sure. There are more, but 4 for sure, which is hospitality, healthcare, manufacturing, and real estate. The reason for narrowing it down on these 4 is that there is a huge overlap when it comes to what they buy. So now you flip it and you see that suddenly a lot of categories will emerge.
No, I understand what you're saying, but my question to you is that even if you look at the 800-pound gorilla Amazon, which is, I think, everyone seems to be buying through Amazon, they are still struggling to do grocery. And they still haven't got into pharma. So if what you're saying is that a platform like Amazon could soon be selling real estate, it could soon be selling automobiles. What I'm trying to understand from you is...
So we are not selling real estate. We are not selling automobiles.
Okay.
So the difference between... So you picked up Amazon. So I would generalize it to say B2C marketplaces.
Yeah, I understand.
Right. So marketplaces are a combination of few things besides technology. They are actually, if I really at a fundamental level look at it, I would say there are technology plus supply chain plus a lot of advertising muscle. So they do these 3 things at the very top level. We are a B2B SaaS platform as an ambition. We are a global B2B SaaS platform. I have actually, during the history of this company as Hotlink, we have done fulfillment activities for a client.
Wow. Okay.
And because kind of they come in a way that we think that they are very coupled. But then this new launch, we've been very clear about who do we want to be. And we've decoupled these things to say that no, we want to rather take a global SaaS play instead of taking a market-driven SaaS plus supply chain plus others. The challenge of an Amazon today to enter the other spaces is that they have to make sure that the promise of delivery is something that they honor. Everything is moving towards that speed of saying that, can I get the groceries to you in the X hours that I actually tell you? We are not in that business.
Okay.
We are a SaaS, B2B SaaS platform. So we are a combination of SaaS and platform. To the extent of platform, we are like a open network of either, as I said, think of telecom, think of LinkedIn, anyone connects to anyone. But we are not coming forward and saying that, look, I will open warehouse and I'll keep your product. I will make sure that the supply chain works, upstream, downstream movement of goods. No, none of that. What we are doing is we are actually keeping the transaction processing with the right level of privacy between the buyer and the seller.
Interesting. So Vineet, I've got time for only one more question. And I know that you had mentioned earlier that you're going to be launching in about 2 quarters. What do you see as some of your challenges in the run-up to your launch?
So obviously, besides the fact that I'm right now talking for funding, so obviously it has to happen on time. We need the right level of money to open the right number of categories. The challenge would be, so in our 2-pronged approach of going to market, one would be, as I said, the low risk entry points, and the second is going to, which is category driven opening of market, and second is the account based marketing.
Right.
Our initial challenges would be largely driven at how people look at their switching time.
Right.
Switching from what they are doing to switching to what we are suggesting. I don't see, so we've done enough market testing in the last many years during the phase that the product was under development. We don't see that people are not ready for it fundamentally. But the timing of actual switching will be our biggest thing to watch. That how can we create triggers for, so I divide adoption in this case into 2 parts: in principle adoption and operational adoption.
Correct.
Operational adoption is where we would see our biggest challenge.
Very interesting. Vineet, on that note, thank you so much. It has been such a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for talking to me so much about your SaaS-based platform to link buyers and sellers and so many other people who will probably reach out to you and use your platform across multiple sectors. Wish you all the best for your launch, and I'll watch out for it in 2 quarters. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Good talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.